Paizo has announced its release schedule. How does it stack up against D&D? Japan is creating VR chat modules for their tabletop RPGs. Is this going to be the new innovation the industry needs? Hello everyone, CJ here. Welcome to the premiere of the Tabletop RPG News Roundup. In this series, I will cover the TTRPG news of the week that you may have missed. I will be covering corpo, indie, and global TTRPG news. I am somewhat familiar with the Japanese scene, but feel free to send me tips if there is interesting news elsewhere. You can reach me on my social media or join our Discord server. Links in the description below. First piece of news: D&D vs Paizo 2025. Paizo has recently released their product schedule for the second quarter of 2025, and it looks quite packed. This list doesn't even include accessories such as maps and cards. They have multiple adventures and adventure paths releasing for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, such as Claws of the Tyrant and To Blot Out the Sun. There are also source books such as Last Omens, NPC Core, and Starfinder Galaxy Guide. D&D, on the other hand, doesn't have anything scheduled until the third quarter. Besides Dragondel's Anthology, which provides a collection of 10 adventures, and the starter set, the rest of the products are splat books. To be fair, D&D always had a smaller release lineup. In comparison, Paizo remains to be a beast, churning out new releases consistently. But of course, the most important question is, which one will the customers buy? So, which of these releases are you most looking forward to? It would also be quite interesting to see what Wizards of the Coast is planning for their future adventures, because veteran D&D designer Chris Perkins has recently announced his retirement from WotC after 28 years. This is quite surprising, especially because he was just promoted to the position of creative director 5 months ago. Currently, we don't have any info on his future plans. Next up, some indie news. Shadowdark's Western Reaches Kickstarter has reached the $2 million mark. Shadowdark, which had swept the 2024 Ennies with 4 gold medals, had been championed by some of the OSR community members as the D&D killer. It provides simplified rules inspired by old-school D&D, stripping everything to the core essentials while implementing some of the best design choices of 5e. You can find the link to the free Quick Start rule in the description, and see for yourself if it is better than D&D 5e. While we're on the topic of 2024 Ennies, Break, another Ennie gold medalist, have released a free 60-page PDF preview of their core rules. Break is also an OSR-inspired product, but it also has influences from video games and anime, so it is a combination of the old and new, with gorgeous illustrations inside. You can also find the link to the preview in the description section below. Next up is slightly more serious news. The recently introduced American tariff on foreign goods have shaken the whole gaming industry, including board games and TTRPG creators. Steve Jackson Games, Gamma, the Game Manufacturers Association, and others have publicly voiced their concerns. If there aren't any concessions made for the gaming industry, then the production cost will skyrocket and all the products will become prohibitively expensive to manufacture. Nowadays, almost all gaming components are manufactured outside the US. Alternative manufacturers that are reliable and affordable can't be found so easily in such a short amount of time, and building similar production capacity locally may take years or longer to do. And that's disregarding the production cost. As a TTRPG creator myself, I am also worried about the state of my future projects. There is just no easy way of replacing global manufacturers without making the physical products overpriced. Well, one possible solution is to perhaps go the full digital route. But what do you think? Would you buy TTRPG products without a physical book? While we are on the topic of digital products, we are getting some interesting news from Japan. Virtual Party have released VR chat module for the Double Cross TRPG in Japan. Double Cross is an urban sci-fi set in a world where a virus called a Renegade can bestow supernatural abilities to those affected. But the virus may also affect the sanity of those who gain the power. Think of it as a cross between Tokyo Ghoul and Call of Cthulhu. VR chat is becoming quite a trending topic in the Japanese TRPG scene. Since Japan has a massive VTuber scene, and they often play tabletop RPGs, this VR push might be an extension of their VTuber industry. Even corporate TRPGs made for the idol franchise Puripara is offering a demo version in VR chat. The company most responsible for the VR push is Virtual Party, a relatively new startup. Personally, I don't know how successful it will be, but it is a development I will be following closely. On another note, the tabletop RPG Armored Core 6 was released in Japan last February, and I was lucky enough to have picked it up when I was traveling there. It is a combat-heavy rule set with few roleplay options. The play tools you need are a pool of 600 dice and a deck of playing cards. The core mechanics revolve around managing the unit's energy output, which is represented by a dice pool. Your max's movement, attack, and evasion uses the same pool, and you have to conserve them until they recover in the next round. This game also has a strict party composition, which is becoming a trend in Japan. A party is made up of 3 mechs and 1 operator. If you only have 1 or 2 players, then the extras become NPCs. Someone suggested that it would be fun to use the social aspects of Puripara and the combat rules of AC6, so that you can create a campaign about underground idols who moonlights as mech pilots. Mixing and matching rules have been part of the TTRPG tradition since the earliest days of D&D anyway. The original D&D refers the player to chainmail for D&D's combat rules, and they recommended the players to use a board game called Outdoor Survival for their hex crawl exploration. So go crazy with your experiments and have fun. Here is a few more Japanese TRPG news. The Final Fantasy XIV TTRPG will be releasing its scenario and Game Master's Guide this July 26th. The publisher of Sword World have just successfully kickstarted a deluxe edition of Sword World 2.5, combining all 3 of their pocket-sized rulebooks into one. The fulfillment date is expected to be July this year. Sword World is the most popular locally produced fantasy TRPG in Japan. It has quite a pedigree. Its first edition, released in 1989, was designed by Mizuno Ryo, the author of Records of Lodoss War. As for the most popular TRPG in Japan, it remains to be Call of Cthulhu by far. When I visited Japan earlier this year, there was half a rack of Call of Cthulhu doujin contents, or fan contents. Even in a second-hand shop, there are plenty more contents out there, and most of them are fan creations. However, there are also Japan-exclusive official COC contents. You can buy them from their official booth shop. Will these contents ever be translated to English? I don't know. Maybe you should contact Chaosium and ask them. Alright, that's it for the week. Subscribe to the channel if you want more tabletop RPG news and other TTRPG related contents. On this channel, I will also be talking about my personal experiences and thoughts as a TTRPG designer.